Okay, we're in Backtrack, and this is going to take a couple of sessions probably. So what we're going to do is try to intercept and crack WPA. And WPA and WPA2, for the purposes of what we're doing, are essentially the same. We know that one uses TKIP and one can use AES or TKIP, but cracking them basically is the same. And the principle is the same as password cracking. If we can capture a handshake, a four-way handshake between a client and a wireless access point, we can actually grab a hash and do password cracking against it. And you might think, well, how can we capture a handshake? Well, we have to deauthenticate the host. In other words, we have to hijack the session, if you will, and force both the client and the AP to disconnect from each other. So we're going to use the Aircrack NG suite of tools, and there are several tools. There's AirMon, AirDump, AirReplay, Aircrack, and a couple of other ones. And we're going to use those tools to sniff the network, to identify the access point in the client, sniff the network, capture traffic, and then once we get that going, we're going to try to initiate a deauthentication attack against the client and the AP to force a four-way handshake, because once they deauthenticate, they try to authenticate with each other. And when they do, they send this four-way handshake, and that's what we're after. So if we can capture that, then we can start the password cracking process. Now, as you can see on the screen, I've got a wireless card attached here. It's actually a USB card, an alpha card, which is probably the most popular card used for pen testing, for wireless pen testing. And I also have a dictionary file in my home directory that I'm going to use, and that's dict_list. And I can cat that for you. And let's do a cat-n so you can see how long this dictionary file is. This is a very small dictionary file, by the way. And about 53,000 words, not very much for a dictionary file. And what we are doing basically is we're cracking a password the same as we have cracked passwords with Windows, for example. We're just using a different methodology for it. We're going to use Aircrack to do it. And if we can get the hash from the WPA handshake, we can crack it and get the WPA key. And that's all the password really is the WPA key. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and start our looking at what wireless networks are around us. Now we're going to see several wireless networks for the purposes of this course, several in the neighborhood around me. So we're not going to attack those, obviously. That would not be very legal. So let's go ahead and do an airmon-ng. And we want to specify WLAN 0 as our wireless card. And what this does is put the wireless card into monitor mode. So we'll get another interface called mon0. We have to say start first. And that's the usage for it right there. Let's back up and say start. There we go. So it's putting this in monitor mode, and we know this because it says monitor mode enabled on mon0. Okay, the next thing we want to do is start dumping traffic that we're picking up. We're actually monitoring wireless right now. Let's go AeroMon or Aero dump rather -ng, and we're going to look at mon0. That's our monitoring interface. And what we're going to get is a lot of different APs here, and we're going to get some stations connected to the different APs around us. Now, the one we're interested in, obviously, is the one called VTC. You can pretty much ignore the rest. And one thing that's important to find right here is the channel that it's on. And we're looking across the board here. We can see that it's on channel 3, and that's what we want to use, because what we want to do is filter out all the rest of these APs and their clients so that we don't get a lot of traffic in there. This will make it easier for us to crack what we're after. We see that VTC is on channel 3. It's using WPA, TKIP, a pre-shared key. So let's go ahead and do a Control-C here. And one of the things we want to do, we're going to be going back and forth between terminals. So I want to open up another terminal here. And one thing I want to do is capture the MAC address of the VTC access point here. And that's right here. That's the MAC address we're after. That's the BSSID. And I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to set up a couple of variables because I don't like to type all these numbers out because you can make mistakes. So I'm just going to type in a variable here. I'm going to call it AP equals, and then I'm going to just put the MAC address in there. And this, you don't have to do this, but when you type in the commands later, it will help you because you'll have to type in these MAC addresses several times. So I'm just setting that up. So let me turn off the monitoring mode interface because we want to restart it on channel 3. And we say stop mon 0. And that takes away the virtual monitoring interface. So now that we've done that, we know what the MAC address is we're after. We know which particular access point we're after and its SSID. So then we're going to restart AirMon and start a capture on that interface and grab only that particular channel. And we'll do that in the next session coming up.